Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Blue Jays Today, folks, where today we're going to discuss all of the recent Toronto Blue Jays news. We've not had an opportunity yet on this format to discuss the Cavan Biggio DFA, to discuss the Alec Manoah injury. That sucks, by the way. I mean, we all know it, but that sucks. We have also got to talk about some potential trade reports. How about that last week? A split with Baltimore, a dramatic, let me tell you, an almost terrible, an almost circus level, clown nose warranting performance in the last game. But then IKF said, no, and showed up. We got to talk about that week and then the week upcoming, everybody. It is going to be a big one. I'm excited for this show today. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle. Yeah, I think I want to actually talk about that Biggio stuff here on this podcast. I mean, first of all, just saying it right off the top, it does suck to see someone like Cavan Biggio go because it means what he represented to the Toronto Blue Jays community, the Toronto Blue Jays team, being that kind of first spark plug, I guess you would say, in this new rebuild. Biggio was up before Vladimir Guerrero Jr., if many forget, right? Like, he was the guy. He was the first of the three young guys who had dads, who were Hall of Famers or All-Stars like Bo Bichette's. And now to see him go, I mean, you really get to see an arc of his career. The last 4 years have been on a downside. He gets cut from the team. And also goes show the desperation of where we're at. So he just, he gets cut because we have to make some sort of changes. But it sucks to see him go. Everyone on here can easily talk like, yeah, get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy, get rid of Biggio, blah, blah. But then when it happens, you really got to take a second to go, my God, you know what? Thank you, Biggio, for your time with the Toronto Blue Jays and just being part of this new, wave of Blue Jay history.
Like, I feel, that when I first saw the news that he was leaving and everything like that, and the Toronto Blue Jays DFA'd him, obviously there was a bit of shock involved in that because literally the day prior, or the morning of, actually, we were discussing the potential move that they could make for Spencer Horwitz.
Right.
And a DFA of Cavan Biggio just was not on our radar at all. I thought potentially an option, or, maybe Daniel Vogelbach or something.
Right.
That's not what happened. And we can discuss, I think, maybe even, right now, whether or not Daniel Vogelbach over Cavan Biggio was the right move. I want to pick your brain about that.
Right.
But I felt, honestly, a little old when Cavan Biggio got DFA'd. Because seriously, we watched this kid, since he was a double-A guy for the Toronto Blue Jays.
When Biggio first came up, he was 24 years old. And just from our point of view, we're 26. So that would have put us at 21 years old.
Right.
We were in university. We didn't know what we were doing with our lives. Now here we are 5 years later. And he's almost 30.
Still don't know what I'm doing with my life. But, we're doing our best.
We're yelling online. Yelling online is what we're doing. But still, that's crazy. We just saw the whole Biggio tenure. And you know what? I am somewhat happy for Biggio because this DFA means he is most assuredly going to get picked up by somebody. And he will hopefully get playing time. I mean, any team would love Cavan Biggio. If you are looking for a left-handed bat that can literally, like his career says, be an average hitter and, maybe get a couple walks here and there, maybe steal a bag, maybe run the bases well, you want to get a Cavan Biggio.
Right. Well, for all those people who are feeling bad for Cavan Biggio, don't. Because I truly believe that this is actually what's best for him and, honestly, what he would have wanted. He wasn't getting playing time with the Toronto Blue Jays as it is right now. He wasn't doing well when he was getting that playing time with the Toronto Blue Jays. So he had the option of either agreeing to be sent down to the minors, and, being in AAA and doing that whole thing for a bit. Or alternatively, doing what he did, which is saying, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I want to continue playing in the MLB. He gets himself DFA'd, and now he has the opportunity, at least for another team, to pick him up, which they probably will do because his name is Cavan Biggio, and he has found success at certain points in the MLB before. And then he can continue doing his MLB thing. So, honestly, don't feel bad for Cavan Biggio. I do think that this is what's best for him and his career moving forward.
Yeah, going to the minors is actually going to be the worst thing for Cavan Biggio. You're going to have no value after that. Because you get set down. Who should say you're going to get called back up?
For sure.
If Spencer Horwitz pops off, okay, you're not coming back up, Cavan Biggio.
Yeah, you can easily get forgotten down there. And at the very least, that isn't going to happen. Quick shout out here to Jordan Keats with a $2 dono saying, good morning, guys. Hopefully the DFA is a wake-up call, and that's something that we're going to get to in a little bit, right? Because I do believe, and a lot of people, a lot of analysts right now, Toronto media, are thinking that this is going to be the first move of many moving forward. Kind of that first domino being like, all right, floodgates are opening up right now. Changes are going to be made. Before we get into potentially who, what changes could be had, what other guys could get either traded or DFA'd or sent out, whatever. Daniel Vogelbach, Cavan Biggio. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of talk that Daniel Vogelbach should have been the guy that was supposed to be cut in place of Spencer Horwitz, especially considering Spencer Horwitz, he's got that first base eligibility. I know that they were trying to transition him to second base and all of that. And Daniel Vogelbach, let's face it, similarly to Cavan Biggio, doesn't get that much playing time, hasn't been doing that well when he has gotten the playing time. Do you think that keeping Daniel Vogelbach over Cavan Biggio was the right move? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I really don't. I mean, you got to think about the tools that Cavan Biggio offered. Sure, does Cavan Biggio strike out looking quite a lot? Sure, yeah. Does he provide you a lot of high batting average? No. But neither does Daniel Vogelbach. Yeah, sure, Daniel Vogelbach can give you a good at-bat, but the results are honestly worse than what Cavan Biggio, if not similar to Cavan Biggio. But what also Cavan Biggio provides is defense. Vogelbach doesn't play any defense.
Right.
This guy's a DH, right? We already have DHs. Anybody could be a DH. Justin Turner's our DH. So why do we have Daniel Vogelbach? Well, maybe because he costs a little bit more money than Cavan Biggio. I don't know. And maybe they were looking directly at what position Spencer Horwitz will be playing. He's going to play a lot of second base. They thought, well, remove second baseman there. But again, you're looking at Daniel Vogelbach, and it's clear, this guy should have been the clear cut. I mean, he's the 26th man on the roster, meaning he is literally he's the forgotten spot. So, I don't know, maybe there were some other things that we're not considering, but just looking at face value, I mean,
well,
Biggio should have stayed.
Here's the thing, right? There's a lot of people who were, raging online about this move and discussing how it's okay, yes, just apples to apples, Cavan Biggio probably slightly greater than Daniel Vogelbach, and I do agree with that. But you also got to factor in that playing time from Spencer Horwitz. It's not like Daniel Vogelbach gets that much playing time anyways, because he's got to fight with Justin Turner and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for that DH first base role, which is what Spencer Horwitz would have had to do had he come in and taken that Daniel Vogelbach spot. Now that he's taken Cavan Biggio, he can kind of easily slot in there at that second base role. He might get a couple days off here and there, but I do anticipate seeing him 4 out of 6 games in the week. So that's number one. Number two for me, and I think that this is what we learned with this move. The Toronto Blue Jays management, the front office, they see Daniel Vogelbach and Cavan Biggio, or they saw Cavan Biggio, as basically identical. And that means that they're replaceable. I do think that this Cavan Biggio getting DFA'd and sent down instead of Daniel Vogelbach means that Daniel Vogelbach in a week or 2 weeks, he's next. It's not I actually don't think that they give a shit. You know?
No, I hear what you're saying. I'll throw in another thing there too. Biggio got DFA'd, which means we have a window to trade him. We haven't been official yet. He hasn't been cut officially from the Toronto Blue Jays. He's been designated for assignment. We have a window to trade Cavan Biggio. I think the Blue Jays management also sees that, if we're going to get any value from sending somebody down in the minors, and we got to trade him away, we're not going to trade Daniel Vogelbach away. We're not going to get much there. You could actually probably trade Cavan Biggio and get a little bit more return.
Potentially.
I think so for sure. Like I said, plays multiple positions on defense, can pinch run off the bench. He's youthful. He's got another year of contract.
Right.
Way more value for Cavan Biggio when you trade him.
And also, too, he wasn't doing anything with us. He really was. Yeah. I honestly kind of forgot that we even had Cavan Biggio on the team sometimes, because there would be entire series that go by where you just don't see Biggio at all, except potentially a 9th inning pinch running scenario, right? And that was it. That's all he was doing. So, again, I do think that you can make the argument that Vogelbach versus Cavan Biggio, maybe that was the wrong choice. But I also think that it just means that Daniel Vogelbach, his time is limited. And I do think that will transition beautifully into our next conversation right here. Jays Journal wrote an incredible article echoing what it is that we're saying right now, saying that 4 more Blue Jays players whose jobs are in jeopardy after Cavan Biggio DFA. And their arguments are very similar to ours in saying that the Cavan Biggio DFA, this is the beginning of it. This is the beginning. This is the start. This is the first domino. Floodgates are opening up right now. Now that the Toronto Blue Jays are open and willing to starting to make these moves, and especially because we are starting to see some better results going on right now.
Right.
We are winning some games, we are winning some series, we are getting closer and closer to that wild card spot. Cutting some of the this is going to sound rude, and I don't mean it to be this way, but, trimming some of the fat off of this roster is the right thing to do.
Trimming some of the dead weight. There we go. Trimming some of the dead weight off this roster,
exactly, right? Yeah, that wasn't a shot at Daniel Vogelbach. I just thought of that now, actually, after I said it. Yeah, it wasn't a shot at Daniel Vogelbach. But seriously, right? You're at that point right now where, oh shit, we are in spitting distance. If Spencer Horwitz starts to do well, I mean, like, Daniel Vogelbach's not doing a whole lot for us. Right. Like, who else can?
Well, it's a very interesting conversation because right now when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays team, if everything goes right the way that this roster and this lineup is constructed, I mean, there's not many everyday playing opportunities for guys on the bench right now. We literally constructed a whole new role for Spencer Horwitz to fill out and play every single day on this team, right? If you look around the diamond, everyone's got playing time every single day. So there's going to be some interesting conversations. We'll go through this list right here and talk about whether it makes sense because, you cut somebody, but then you bring them up to do the exact same role of sitting on the bench every 5 games you maybe start.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, does that really make sense? We'll talk about it. But this one right here, and shout out to Eric Truden, he wrote this article, so we're kind of piggybacking off him. Genesis Cabrera is the first guy on this list. This is without position player role. This is purely bullpen. We know our bullpen has been struggling mightily, and Genesis Cabrera, man, has not looked like anything that he looked like when we traded for him last year. He has a mid-5 ERA, and he just comes into these middle relief roles to face lefties. John Schneider loves him, and if I'm the general manager, I think about Billy Beane in Moneyball movie where it's like, well, you put this guy on the roster and the manager is just using him in a way that you shouldn't be using him. This guy's clearly not good for Major League Baseball and he keeps getting blown up and blown up. We have to find a replacement. The only reason why he's playing is because he's a lefty.
Right.
So what do you do if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, if you're Ross Atkins? Well, you maybe have to find some other options. The problem is you look over in the minor leagues, it's not as simple. There's no guy that you could call up and replace him immediately. You got Brandon Little on the roster. You know, he could be a potential option, but he hasn't been that good either. He, in his short appearance, has a 10-13 ERA.
Yeah,
so what do you do? Like, I know you've been talking about it. Genesis is performing horribly. You want to keep that lefty so that Tim Mesa doesn't get overworked. So what exactly do you do?
Well, it's actually abundantly clear, right? I think that Genesis Cabrera is safe for a little bit until we prove that we're buying, right? I think that the Toronto Blue Jays team needs to prove to the management that, you know what, we are going to be in this race, we are going to be fighting. And the second that they do that, your first thing on your agenda, I know everybody's going to be screaming about getting a power hitter, which I do agree with. And I also know, and we're going to talk about the Alec Manoah thing later, but getting another starter in here to fill some innings, that is really important. But there is a clear upgrade that can be made here from Genesis Cabrera to, any other lefty that's maybe on the trade market. You go, you send somebody off, you bring in another bullpen guy. This entire roster has been constructed around defense and pitching. And if you don't have the pitching, it's not going to work. When you don't have Eric Swanson, when you don't have Jordan Romano, you are now relying on these other guys who are being forced into roles that they probably shouldn't be in. That's what's happening with Genesis Cabrera right now. Make a trade for a bullpen guy if, of course, the roster and the way that they're playing warrants you doing so.
Yeah, like literally the only reason why he's here is because he throws left-handed, which is literally sad.
That's all it is.
That's literally all you are. And man, when he came in and closed the Oakland game yesterday, I was very afraid. Very afraid. He did give up a run, but that's why we scored 3. Because you have Genesis Cabrera coming in. But that's a clear one right there. I agree with you. Trade deadline, and I honestly think it's got to happen now because we're going to look at the wild card standings. We're so in it, guys. We are legitimately
in the race.
2 games back because Minnesota's falling off now. You got an opportunity. We're in a mix with a bunch of other teams like Boston, Tampa Bay. We are in the mix to jump back into this thing. I think you need that right now. You can't be having more Genesis Cabrera games.
I agree with you in that, okay, if we're really going after this, then it should have been done fucking yesterday, right? I do think that, we got to think about this from a GM standpoint, though. And as we know, the further you are away from trade deadline, the more expensive everything is. I'm not aware of all of the potential options out there for, kind of middle relief lefty bullpen guys.
I'm sure we'll make some videos breaking it down.
Exactly, yeah. But, keeping in mind, right, the further you are away from trade deadline, the more expensive those guys are going to be. At this point, I'm looking at almost anything. Like, I'd be looking at, like, is there anyone on free agency?
Dude,
Like,
anybody get... Dude, Genesis
is there any
Cabrera.
veterans out there?
Well, we got Genesis Cabrera early, and he was cut by the Cardinals.
Sure.
Pick up someone off waivers.
You know,
literally do that.
Like something like that, you know, just to try a different thing right now, because I don't think it's working. And at this point, like, you do need to get somebody else in. The next person that Jay's Journal talks about here that could potentially be dealing with a little, I mean, in this position, it would be a DFA.
Yeah.
Ernie Clement. And Ernie Clement in spring training, phenomenal at baseball. I mean, he won over the hearts of Toronto Blue Jays fans. I still like Ernie Clement a lot. I think that, you know, he's a grinder, and I have a lot of respect for guys that are grinders. But at the end of the day, it's not.
That's
they keep this. Jay's Journal keeps playing ads at us. Sorry, guys.
Jay's Journal trying to get their
money.
You know what? Fair enough, man.
Yeah, we respect. We do the same thing.
Can't even hate on them for it. But I mean, Ernie Clement at this point, it's not necessarily continuing. He had an incredible start, and it hasn't been the same ever since then. And now he's kind of finding himself in a similar Cavan Biggio role where we're just not seeing him a whole lot. Sure, he comes in for the pinch run. You know, maybe he'll get a start here or there. But I don't think that, you know, you're not seeing the same guy that you saw in spring training.
Right.
So I wouldn't be shocked at, honestly, any point that, you know, Ernie Clement gets the cut. And at that point, I don't think you need to make a trade to do so. It's like you'd be looking at some of the guys in your minor league system.
Well, that's the thing. That's where I want to kind of transition to here, because they were bringing up in Jay's Journal by Eric here, saying, you know, the next guy up would be Addison Barger. He's already been up with the team. However, are we comfortable throwing Addison Barger into literally Ernie Clement's role? Because, you know, he at this point would be starting maybe every 6 games or every 5 games or one of every 5 games. So are we comfortable doing that with Addison Barger? Because you also got to ask another question. Do we think Addison Barger is ready for the big league roster every single day? And is that the role that we want to put him in right now? Or alternatively, maybe throw something else out there. Is this bringing up Addison Barger, cutting Ernie Clement, going to create more of a competition for him to prove it when he does get the playing time every day? There's a lot to consider.
Right.
Because if you don't really feel good with bringing up Addison Barger in that bench role that Ernie Clement does, then just keep Ernie Clement there.
Yeah.
Right? He plays his role good, I guess. You know, as a 25th man on the roster.
I mean, I think that, like, I understand the entire argument about, you know, like, this is one of your top prospects and, you know, they need playing time and blah, blah, blah. Like, we need them to develop. And I do get that. But at the same point, I also believe that, you know, you have to earn it. And I think that Addison Barger, right, sure, he's, you know, 5th in our system, or maybe that's adjusted.
6th, I think, maybe.
But, I mean, I think you bring him up, and if it doesn't work out, you do the same thing that you did with him, like, at the beginning of the season. And you just send him back down again.
Right.
And if he can make it work with those 2 games that he gets every single week, then fucking phenomenal. Now you get more games. If you don't, then you're the same thing as Ernie Clement. I don't think that, you know, bringing him up at this point, and if he has like a rough month or something like that, it's going to completely stunt his development and stunt his growth because you literally already did that. Right. So you're okay with it, you know? So you've made that decision once. I do believe that Barger would be better than what Ernie Clement's doing. I mean, maybe that's just because I'm a Barger guy. He's been on the show before, so I'm obviously a stan of this guy. But I don't know, man. I feel like you got a top prospect down there who's doing it. Don't overthink it.
I see it this way, because I think having competition, especially with all these guys who are on the AAA roster, if they're all up trying to compete for like one role, there's a good thing with friendly competition within your team. If you see that Spencer Horwitz is, you know, not, you know, performing as expected, or somebody else is beginning to struggle mightily around the diamond, because you got, you know, Barger could play a little bit of third, right? So you can move IKF over to second. That's totally fine. Barger could play a little bit of corner outfield, maybe David Schneider slumps. I hope not. God, that'd be horrible. But if there is an opportunity, then cut Clement, bring up Barger, and add that little bit of competition factor like you had earlier this season with, you know, Biggio and Clement on who's going to play that everyday role. Ended up being David Schneider actually coming in. Add that value, because that could actually produce a lot more good than bad.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because, again, like, Ernie Clement isn't doing a whole lot for us right now. So, again, like, I know that we're thinking about Addison Barger's playing time and development and everything like that. But, you know, I feel like sometimes we got to zoom out a little bit and just remember, oh, yeah, the whole point of all of this is to win the most baseball games possible.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that Addison Barger, at this point, would be one of the better guys to help you do that. So, like, stop getting so micro with all this shit about, like, he's going to only get, like, 8 at-bats and blah, blah, blah. No, get the best players up here and, like, go, fight.
Yeah.
Make it happen, boys.
Well, I do want to get micro because you got to consider how does Barger play in that kind of role, right? Like, can he get himself regular every single day to be the best player? Like, if he plays regular playing time at AAA, he dominates. We see that. But at the big league level, we haven't seen that just yet. Short stint, but you got to give it a shot at some point.
Well, but yeah, exactly, right? Like, the only way that we're going to find out is if you do it. You
Right.
know? So, I mean, I hear your concerns with that, but, like, I can tell you right now that Ernie Clement at the beginning of the season was working, but now we know what it is. He has
Right.
gotten that leash
Right.
and he's gotten that sample size. And Barger, correct me if I'm wrong, he was up with the team 2 weeks,
Like
like
about
not
week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, like not even
You
that
got like
long,
maybe
right?
like
So,
3 or 4
I mean,
stars.
that's not enough of an opportunity to figure out anything, right? Especially considering for at least the first game, he wasn't even
Right.
starting in his position, So I think you take the shot. I think you bring him up, and I think you just see what you have.
Well, this next guy on the list could open up even more opportunities if you did move on from him for Addison Barger. Sorry, guys, I played another ad right here. Got to refresh it.
Yeah, it's Kevin Kiermaier, everybody.
Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Kiermaier. See, this one for me, and I respect Jays Journal a lot, and I do hear where they're coming from here. I don't see the Toronto Blue Jays doing this, though, because a couple of reasons. One, Kevin Kiermaier gets paid way too much money. He gets paid a lot of money, and just to get rid of him at that point, like, I don't know if they're going to do something like that. And then two, Ernie Clement and everything like that, like, they don't have necessarily as much value as Kevin Kiermaier does, defensively speaking. He is a defensive stud. We know him to be that, and we know that Ross Atkins love him. I would say out of everybody that we've talked about today so far, Kevin Kiermaier, I think, is probably going to hold this role.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Kevin Kiermaier, I could ideally seeing being dropped down to that, 26-man role where all you do when we're trying to compete, because he's an automatic out in the lineup. I don't want to start Kevin Kiermaier as much. I want him maybe starting 1 every 5 games, if I'm going to be completely honest. Maybe he's the 26th man, and he comes in the 8th, and he as a defensive replacement for David Schneider, and that's it. Yeah. I said that earlier this year. I think that's a great strategy. However, we have other guys that, we're still trying to fill in Kevin Kiermaier. It's still early. I think we got to get to a point where the roster is so obviously good. I mean, the starting lineup is so obviously good that it doesn't make sense starting Kevin Kiermaier anymore, as much as possible.
That's the thing, right? We just don't have that luxury at this point. And I mean, I think that there are other guys on the totem pole that, you just need to deal with first.
Yeah.
I mean, let's make this quick because there's a lot of ads going on here. But I think the final guy that they have going on here is Daniel Vogelbach. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, Daniel Vogelbach. I mean, we've already kind of talked about him. But, I mean, I look at him and Cavan Biggio as almost an interchangeable thing. And if they're going to bring, at this point, anybody else up to the MLB, I'm thinking Daniel Vogelbach is probably the first.
It's the easiest cut in the world. You already have Spencer Horwitz who could. I mean, Vogelbach doesn't even play first base. So you already have Spencer Horwitz could play DH, Vladdy could play DH, Turner could play DH. Horwitz is a lefty. You already brought him up. You want to play him more. Like there's no reason, there's no attribute that Daniel Vogelbach gives you other than the fact that when he swings the bat, I broke this down in a video. He hits it hard.
Right.
Okay, cool. But what is that translating into your stat line? Right. That's an easy cut. I think if realistically, tit for tat, Addison Barger comes up and replaces Daniel Vogelbach, moves up the ladder. Then you have Kiermaier, you have Ernie Clement kind of sliding down into that 25th, 26th guy bench role, and you're happy with that.
Yeah.
That's an easy cut. I actually don't even know why they haven't done it already. I guess they're just trying to soak as much value out of Vogelbach's $2 million minor league contract as possible.
Well, I think we were talking about it the other day, right? Like the Toronto Blue Jays are analytic based, and there are some analytics that point to Daniel Vogelbach, Danny Berger, as being good at baseball. Sometimes it translates. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, the guy is still batting below 200, so honestly, most of the time, it hasn't translated.
See, it's funny because this is the whole Moneyball thing where you have to actually have him play more to have it translate. He hasn't had the playing time to play more, so what are we doing here? Like, you're coming in with this analytical strategy of, okay, this guy will work great ground. When he gets his pitch to hit, he'll hit it really hard. Okay, in theory, yes, that makes sense. I agree with you, Billy Bean, a.k.a. Ross Atkins. But he has to play.
Right.
That was the problem with the Moneyball thing. The guys they brought on to make the stats work weren't playing. So he has to play. And if he's not going to play, well, then just get rid of him.
I see some people in the chat right now discussing one name that we've kind of forgotten about at this point. popped off, or not even really, but just gained a lot of attention in spring training and all around that time, Joey Votto. Are we going to see Joey Votto at all on the Toronto Blue Jays roster in 2024? I think that is now turning into a real question.
I mean, if you don't cut Vogie and replace him with Barger, like if you cut Vogie and your plan is, okay, we're replacing him with Barger, well, you don't want to keep sending Barger back up and down. Like, I think that's probably the worst case scenario. You don't want to do that to a player. If you haven't got to that point yet and somehow Votto comes out of nowhere and his ankle's fine, that bat, he recovered from that ankle roll from months and months ago and he's ready to go play baseball, I mean, you might as well.
Right.
But at this point, I just don't see it happening. I don't know why. Well, I can't even speak like intelligently on it because no information has really come out other than this guy's taking a couple swings. He's not really playing games.
Yeah.
And it's been 3 months.
That's
it's not
the thing.
more.
There comes a point in the season where, I mean, and again, I was very excited about Joey Votto when we first got that information, but there does come a point where you just need to move on as an organization. The guy has been hurt for a really long period of time, and now you're looking at some of your prospects in Buffalo pop off. When we first signed Joey Votto, when the Toronto Blue Jays first got Joey Votto, we had no idea if Addison Barger was going to have a 800-plus OPS in Buffalo and Aurelvis Martinez was going to be right up there with the home runs, right? We didn't know how well those guys were going to do. Now they are doing that. So if you're faced with a decision of, would you like to bring up this injury-prone, Joey Votto, legend, albeit, he is a legend, but do you want this old veteran who's barely played any baseball this year?
Literally.
Or alternatively, your top 5 prospect who is fucking destroying the baseball in the minor leagues? I just think that the decision has already been made for you, and it has to be your top prospect. So as much as I would love to see Joey Votto, as every day ticks on and as the clock winds down, I just see it increasingly more difficult that he is ever going to find himself on the Toronto Blue Jays this year.
Who knows? Maybe we sign him back for another minor league deal and we try to run it back next year when we have no Daniel Vogelbach. But this year, I highly doubt it, guys. So those are our 4 guys. Not our 4 guys. Eric Truden, shout out to Jays Journal once again for this article. Those are the 4 guys that could be potentially cut. I agree. I think Daniel Vogelbach is the clear next guy to go.
He's number 1. Genesis Cabrera is right there, too.
Genesis Cabrera, I agree. Ernie Clement's got probably the longest leash, and Kiermaier, probably not because I love the guy and they paid him $10 million. Let's move on, though, to another guy who, again, we haven't got an opportunity to talk about it on this platform. Alec Manoah. We found out right after Biggio got cut that Alec Manoah is going to have had a UCL surgery, and his season will be over. Tommy John yet to be confirmed. And now the Blue Jays, looking at the rotation, we're missing a 5th guy. And looking at the depth, and we're going to look at the depth of the Blue Jays roster right now. There's not much there a guy who can come up and pitch every 5th day and give you 5, give you 6, give you 7 innings.
That is a big problem, everybody. I mean, we had the bullpen day yesterday against Oakland, and honestly, for the most part, they did their job. But I don't know if you can anticipate that from them every single time out. Bowden Francis, a lot of hype in spring training, but so far in the regular season, except for yesterday, it just hasn't translated. And against a better lineup than the Oakland Athletics, which most lineups in the MLB are, I don't think that he's going to be able to go 4 scoreless. So this is an issue, and the Blue Jays had the perfect storm yesterday because, you had the complete game from Gausman, and you had the 8 innings from Chris Bassett, so your bullpen was extremely rested. That is not going to be the case every single time that you roll out this bullpen day. If you are very serious about going into the postseason and trying to make a play for the wild card, then finding anyone to eat up 5 to 6 innings for you every 5 days, that is going to be crucial because we already have a bad bullpen. If you are now having to, scramble and have them pitch much more innings than they probably should, that might get even worse.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at his couple options, guys. I mean, people are in the chat saying, you got Astro here saying, I have faith in Yariel. I mean, Yariel looked decent coming up. His first couple outings were good. Then he kind of struggled, and then he obviously got hurt. Yariel is the only guy right now that is potentially could be coming up to fill up that role. However, last time out, he only pitched 3 innings in Buffalo. They look good. But you also got to ask yourself, how many innings is Yariel Rodriguez going to get this season? because Yariel, like we know, didn't pitch all of last year. This is his second injury already in 2024. And if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays, we have this guy for 4 more years. We have to be a little bit careful of how many innings we're giving this guy. I see him more this year coming up and maybe pitching in some bullpen days, being a long relief guy, because he's going to be on a lower inning count. I think the best way for the Toronto Blue Jays right now is to look outside of the organization. I saw you were looking up Ricky T.
Well, I saw a bunch of people. A bunch of people in the chat are obviously bringing up Ricky Tiedemann, and I hadn't even really thought about that option. But the biggest problem with him is he has been dealing with injuries all season long. Yeah. I looked at his numbers. He's pitched 8 innings so far in the minor leagues. Not ready and it's been, we've had to, rehab and do all of that. So Ricky Tiedemann at this point, with the way that his season has been going, it's not an option, and it's not going to be an option, I would assume, all year long. Mm-hmm. But at least for months at this point. It's going to take this guy months, and they are going to be, if they're going to be fucking cautious about Addison Barger, they are going to be 10 times as cautious with Ricky Tiedemann, literally the top prospect in your system. So at this point, that is just not an option, as exciting or as sexy as it would be. Yariel Rodriguez is the guy to come in and help, but as we've said before, the innings limit on him, we might already be there, it's not somebody that you really want to have to start every single game, at least this point in his MLB career. I do believe that, again, come trade deadline, if you are in this race, or at least close enough to be in this race, getting a bullpen guy, in place of Genesis Cabrera or whoever, and also finding somebody else to fill in for this role is critical.
Yeah, the only guy we really have on this roster until we make that trade is Paulo Espino, which, sure, you got to call him up at some point, because that bullpen day is not going to be sustainable, especially in this horrid month of June. We got to make a trade sometime soon, but that's what the 5th man of the rotation. But going back to Alec Manoah, just on his career as a whole, man, bad year last year, as we know, got off to a better start this year.
Yeah.
Let's be real. And then suffers the injury. What are your thoughts about Alec Manoah moving forward? Do you still have hope from him, or do you think that this could be kind of the beginning of the end?
Alec Manoah's future is in serious doubt at this point. There's no denying it, everybody. When you come off of the season that he came off of last year, and then you start this year with some good outings, but some bad outings, and now obviously the horrible news of the season-ending injury, your future now has entered serious doubt mode. I don't care that a couple of years ago you were in that Cy Young race. It's just the way of the MLB. It's just the way of professional sports leagues. What have you done for me recently? The answer for Alec Manoah, it's not a lot, everybody. It is going to be an uphill battle for Manoah. If he wants any future, any career in the MLB, it is going to be such an uphill battle. I do feel extremely bad for the kid, because again, we can get on him for last year, this year, getting this injury update. That's not his fault. No. That's just fucking shit luck, and it's the way she goes. But if you really want to have a career in the MLB, it's going to take everything that you put in this offseason and then some, because now not only are you fighting with the, idea that you're not good at baseball anymore, because people are still going to have that perception of you. Now you're also fighting yourself and your injury.
Yeah.
It is going to be really tough for Alec moving forward.
Yeah, especially if he does get Tommy John surgery. We may not see this guy till 2026. And that's a scary thought. And at that point, who even effing knows? We might be in 2026 oh, Alec Manoah's back?
Right.
You know what I mean? We have to kind of move on from the idea of him helping him out in this kind of Blue Jay window. He could be back, and Bowen and Vlad might not even be on this team.
Well, you're kind of entering into, everybody always relates him to Romero, right?
Yeah, seriously.
You're entering into that territory. You're entering into Aaron Sanchez level 2
literally
right now. This is the conversation now, because, incredible. And now, fell off a cliff, and now we're dealing with injuries. And this is the perfect storm to kill an exciting career. It fucking sucks. It's the worst. I want this guy to come back. I want him to fight back, but it is going to be really tough. And I'll be honest, I have no idea when we're going to see Alec Manoah next.
No, me either. Shout out to Astro here with a 279 super chat. Dono saying, do you see a blockbuster trade? Just got here. We'll welcome in Astro from our YouTube chat. Do I see a blockbuster trade happening with the Jays? Not really. I like sending away guys. I don't think we're going to trade Vlad or Bo because we're way too close and we're way too of a competitive team. And Ross has already dispelled all that. That's not going to happen. And we don't have the prospect capital to be getting a blockbuster trade sent our way and acquiring, he's not getting traded, but like a Juan Soto level type of deal. I just don't see that happening for the Jays.
Hey, quick shout out here to the Gaming Freak with 20 gifted memberships. That's amazing. You're the best. This community literally is the best place on the internet, folks. If you haven't already, go give Gaming Freak a shout out, dude. Yeah. He's the best. Blockbuster trade for the Toronto Blue Jays. At this point, no. Come to me in a month, everybody. Come to me in a month because right now, like Adam said, we're too in the middle. We're too close to be like, crazy buyers. We're not like the Yankees or anything like that where it's like, okay, of course we're buying. Like we're still in the middle ground, and then we're also not far out of it enough to, be selling off pieces. So this next month of baseball is going to be absolutely crucial for the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, it feels like we keep saying that. Right. But right now, it's especially true as we get closer and closer to that trade deadline. You are only one game out of the of being 500, two games out of wild card. So you are very much in the race, even though you are still a negative record. A blockbuster trade at this point doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't, man. I mean, we haven't even done blockbuster trades last year and the year before that. Like, I would consider Barrios somewhat blockbuster.
That's a pretty big blockbuster for sure, man. Yeah.
Being one of the top pitchers in the league, and you send over 2 of your top 5 prospects, I think for sure. But that was like the last trade that we've made that was like blockbuster worthy. The last 2 seasons, we haven't really. I guess you could say Teoscar Hernandez,
right?
And Eric Swanson was a bit of a blockbuster. 1 year left. Chapman, kinda. Yeah.
That was still around that same time too. Anyways,
right. But then after all that, once we made the decision to go in that direction of defense first and pitching first, we haven't been doing that because I think we realize our prospect pool is depleted.
Yeah.
And we have no more space on this roster to really make that trade.
Reinforcements are going to be few and far between. I do think that, if we are in a situation to buy, they will do so. But it isn't going to be the Louis Robert Jr., regardless of what it is that you guys hear. Let's dive in to this Oakland Athletics series, everybody. Holy shit, they sweated out at the end. First game, though, that was disgusting. Even though the Toronto Blue Jays are on a bit of an upswing and they are winning some games, they're winning some series, we still can't get away from losing games like this. 2-1 to Oakland. Chris Bassitt delivers the best game that he's delivered all season long, everybody. 8 innings, 1 earned run. Is that it?
Yeah.
1 earned run from Chris Bassitt. Phenomenal stuff right there. The one pitch that we see from anyone else that's not named Chris Bassitt in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform is taken yard for a home run from Chad Green. So this was a brutal one. We were live for it. They walked us off. I never want to see anything like that again, but sadly, I do think that we will at some point.
No, and the problem here is we're going to see this continuously happening for the Toronto Blue Jays when we face a guy with a mid-3, this guy had a low-3 ERA,
I know.
Hogan Harris. We suck. We only got 3 hits off him in 6 innings, only got 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Like, whatever reason, we just cannot do it, and it just sucks that gem by Bassitt went to waste because he deserved that win, and we deserved to sweep the series. If we would have won that, that would have been perfect for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
And then you look over at the next game, and we go 7-0 with a beautiful performance by Kevin Gausman, where he literally throws a 9-inning complete game shutout, only 5 hits, 10 strikeouts, and we just get the offense. I forget who's starting for this guy. Not sure what his ERA is, but we get to him. And that's good. That's good for us.
Listen, 7 runs, 7-0 win. There's nothing bad that you can say about this. That's the first complete game shutout from Kevin Gausman in his career. He does it in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform and just puts the team on his back, dude. So this was an incredible game overall. Phenomenal by everyone. Final game, 6-3 is the 6-4, excuse me. Final score, Blue Jays over Oakland. It was a little testy there at the end, everybody, because we were winning this game 2-1 for a long period of time, actually 2-0 for a long period. Then it was 2-1, and then all of a sudden it was 3-2.
Yeah.
And you were thinking, oh, holy mother of God, Toronto Blue Jays, we don't come back from 3-2. But honestly, credit where credit is due to John Schneider. There was, first off, a leadoff single by Dalton Varsho, so, he played his role. And then John Schneider called, several moves in a row that was, very small ball and just, influencing the game in a fashion that allowed us to get that run around and make it 3-3 and then go to extras.
Kiermaier Falefa dropped the bunt, moving over Dalton Varsho. And then you had Dalton Varsho, he had the steal on. And he stole third base and then sac fly from, it's weird how they have Henderson. Oh, right, because we got rid of the DH. Then you have a sac fly by Davis Schneider, and that was it. So that pinch hit, stolen base, bunt, that was, honestly, that's on John Schneider right there. So good job. But again, I want to throw it back because the offense did their job. They showed up finally. And obviously IKF with the amazing play. We're going to get to him in a second. But again, Mitch Spence, high 3 ERA, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. That guy looks like Jose Barrios out there getting quality starts and shutting down offenses.
Yeah.
They're going to happen. Those games are going to happen. But they happen too frequently for the Toronto Blue Jays. And that's the one thing the offense needs to figure out how to get those guys, because they were able to get that run off of Alexander, and then Austin Adams exploded.
Austin Adams was genuinely like the worst pitcher that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like he threw, dude. He had Toronto Blue Jays money line. There is no denying it, everybody. I see a lot of people calling for it in the chat, so you know what? Let's fucking do it, everybody. It is time to announce the J of the Week.
J of the Week. You know who it is. It's MVP IKF. Let's go, baby. Honestly, phenomenal week from the guy. We've got some stats here for y'all. This guy, in the OPS category, he's not going to blow anybody away this week. He had a 706 OPS, but what I love to see is the 310 batting average, and even more so, 320, batting average, and the 9 RBIs. 5 RBIs in that Sunday game. We also forget he had a walk-off double in that, I think it was a Wednesday game against Baltimore. He gets 8 hits. He didn't score a single run, but he drove in the runs, being clutch as hell. Even though Vladdy had a great week, 2 homers, 950 OPS. Gosman had the complete game shutout, but what hindered it was the start on Monday against those Baltimore Orioles. Yeah. So IKF, clutch as hell, worth the $7.5 million for this year.
100%, dude. And I tweeted this out yesterday, everybody. Defensively speaking, this guy is an absolute stud. I know that everybody was worried, we're going to lose Matt Chapman. We're going to have we're going to go back to the dark days where we can't fucking field the ball at third base to save our life. Isaiah Kiermaier Falefa has played majority of the innings this season at third base. He has been better than Matt Chapman. He's in the 94th percentile in outs above average. That is higher than either one of Matt Chapman's years with the Toronto Blue Jays. So Isaiah Kiermaier Falefa worth every single penny so far. I think every statement that we said in the offseason, hating on this guy, shitting on his contract, getting on Ross Atkins for signing him. At this point, this is the best signing of the offseason. It is. And it's just wild to see.
Look, he's got a 2.1 WAR, and I think I said preseason, if he ends up with a 3 WAR at the end of his 2-year tenure, I would be happy, and he's already almost there.
He might do that in year 1, dude. With the way that he's playing, he might do that in year 1. So IKF, incredible so far. Hopefully, he can keep it up. Let's move on and discuss this next upcoming series, everybody. This is going to be a tough one. Last week, Blue Jays go 4-3. Solid. I mean, honestly, considering you had Oakland, I would have loved to maybe make it 5-2. But 4-3, we take that. We are winning ball games. This week is a lot harder. Milwaukee, and then on the weekend, we're going to have to talk about that a little bit later. Not on this show, but later one. Cleveland as well. Yeah. They're incredible at baseball. Milwaukee leading their division, though. They're no slouches.
Yeah, and neither is the Cleveland Guardians, right? I mean, just looking at the whole week in total, if you can go 3-3 in this week, that's a W. Right. That is a W to survive on the road and then going back to the Rogers Center. But first, let's start with this road series, 3 games against the Milwaukee Brewers. You've got Jose Barrios going up against Colin Ray in this one. Colin Ray's been popping off in his last 3 appearances. Jose Barrios is looking like he looked like back in April. That's the thing, man. You have 2 really good pitchers going head-to-head. And I set this up already. Blue Jays against 3 mid ERA guys somehow can't compete. And you haven't seen Ray literally at all. Only guy who's seen Ray is Justin Turner, 7 at-bats, and Vogelbach, 3 at-bats because they played in the NL last year. So what do we got here? This is tough.
Well, I'll tell you right now, on a team standpoint so far in 2024, Milwaukee across the board, 10th in pitching ERA, so very solid above average. A lot better than the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays are ranked 19th in ERA, by the way, and hitting. They are actually ranked 6th in OPS.
Huge.
That's they're never like that. This is the best that they've
Reese
swung
Hoskins,
the bat.
Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
They're starting to pop off.
Literally, man. Like this is the best that they've
William
swung the bat
Contreras,
in a really, really long time. And obviously, being ranked 6th in OPS is significantly higher than our 21st. So, offensively speaking, they are better. Pitching-wise, they are better. We are at Milwaukee. I'll tell you right now, everybody, I am saying, even though that there is momentum here, I do think that we're going to lose this series, win 1, lose 2. I don't know if I think we're going to lose this one. It's close, but
I'm saying we lose just because, again, we're at Milwaukee.
Yeah.
We've been playing so many games in a row. We're on the road. This guy's been better lately. Our offense doesn't show up. I think it's gonna be a classic. Like it's gonna be like the Oakland game on Friday, 2-1 victory, and that's it.
Sure.
And that's it, right?
Yeah, I could definitely see that one happening, everybody. So we'll say that we lose this first one right here, guys. Before we move on, let's get to or the sponsor of this video.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years or older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. In this game, I mean, I would be betting unders. What did you say here? You did. Exactly.
I'm literally betting under on the total runs. You got two great pitching matchups. Brio's been hot. Ray's been hot. This is probably the easiest smash of an under I've seen all season.
100%, dude. Like the only way that I could see this, going over is, for whatever reason, Toronto Blue Jays offense just goes crazy.
Literally, that's what I have to be.
Or I mean, Jose Barrios, I guess he could have a blow up. But I just don't see it happening. This is going to be a low scoring one. It's going to be a boring one. If you're looking for somebody to watch it with, guys, come watch with me tonight, everybody. I will be live for this game at 8. It's a little bit later today, so it's at 8, guys, because they're in Milwaukee. But we will be live for it. Moving on to the second matchup, you're going to have Yusei Kikuchi. Kikuchi's loose, taking the bump. Also, quick shout out here to Yusei Kikuchi for laying the fucking body on him, man. Dropping the shoulder, getting WWE, UFC style, absolutely destroying the Oakland Athletic right there. He said, do not even come fucking close to my dugout, and then just dropped him.
Yeah, no, it was pretty funny, man. That's gonna be memeable forever and ever. Kikuchi is okay. People were wondering about that, like, oh my god, because he left the field like this,
right?
Like grabbing his side, and he's okay now. So hopefully everything's good to go for this Tuesday game. He's going up against TBD. I did some research, and they had a guy in this spot that they actually sent back down. He actually came up and pitched okay, but then they optioned him back down. So this could be a minor leaguer, a bullpen day.
Right.
You never know. So with that being said, I'm going to think we're going to grab this one facing, a minor league guy or a bunch of bullpen guys.
Yeah, I can vibe with that too, dude. I mean, again, I think we're going to lose this series. We win 1, we lose 2. This feels to me like if it's going to be some randoms, we could take this.
And then we're going over to this one right here, and you got Chris Bassett going up against Myers. Myers, last time out, guys, dominated. 8 innings. I think it was scoreless 8 innings, but someone correct me on that.
Well,
but
so did Chris Bassett.
Yeah,
Pretty
he did.
Good.
He did too. But again, oh man, you know what? We actually might have a chance to win this series. I'm not lying. It's the bullpen of the Milwaukee Brewers you got to be worried about if they get late. Devin Williams is a beast, but we have a chance because of how hot Chris Bassett has been in this series. Jose Barrios has been hot. Kikuchi, what you get from him. There's a chance.
Listen, there's a chance, but I think that, again, are they going to be the 6th best team in OPS in the MLB? Because if they
show up like that.
Yeah, exactly.
What have they been like lately? I'm just curious.
Milwaukee Brewers, if we go in the last 30 days, they are the 13th. I mean, still better than we are, but I mean, let's see, in the last 15 days, even more recent than that, Milwaukee is 13th again. So I mean, like, above average, better than we are, but not like blowing the doors off or anything like that.
Okay. You know what? I don't know, man. I don't know. My gut wants me to say we win this, even though logic brain and what I've seen all season is we lose.
Right.
We lose this. Fuck it. We win this game and we actually take the series. And if we do that, I'm going to feel way more confident going back to Toronto on Friday, playing the Cleveland Guardians, because we could lose that series and still go 3-3.
100%.
I'm going to say we do it.
Yeah, if we can win a series against Milwaukee in Milwaukee, that'd be huge. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that we're going to lose this one. I do just think at the end of the day, the Milwaukee Brewers offense is just better than we are. Hopefully, with the power of MVP IKF, Spencer Horwitz, they prove us wrong, guys. Let's get to the next segment of this video, everybody. It's time to spin that wheel.
The spinning fortune, baseball, colorful, future determining, stat analyzing, and it's a wheel that we spin every week.
It is, in fact, a wheel that we spin every single week. You got a couple off me, eh?
I did get a couple off you. Well, I think the camera's kind of lopsided there, but I got a couple off you. What I ended up getting, and it was shocking, it was your week, but Chris Bassett, I mean, he gets the...
Wait a second.
Wait, ERA? Oh, I thought it was case for 9. Oh no, this was... So remember, okay, so a little side note, guys. I went to test out a Greta bar and everything got reset.
Right.
It wasn't actually this one at all. It's not this one at all. I could pull it up on the other one.
Okay, well, either way, you're saying that you got to...
I got, so K per 9 for Gosman versus Bassett.
Right.
Because Bassett got blown up on that first game against the
Kevin
Orioles.
Gausman?
Kevin Gausman, yeah. And he only got 3 strikeouts in 6 1/3.
Right.
Even though he got 10 and 9, but Bassett got 7 and 8, so it ended up being like a more K per 9.
Really?
Yeah. And then it was OPS Vladdy versus Babes. I had Babes. That was a clear smash. Babes only got 300 OPS last week. Kind of cold, honestly.
Yeah.
And then we had Jay Killer, Rutschman. He got the 2 homers.
Yeah. Fair.
Henderson got 800 OPS, but I mean, Rutschman, he had the thousands.
Rutschman is just pretty dominant, everybody. All right, well, we're moving on. Still got a lead by 3, but it's getting a little closer here. Will be Adam's week this week. Let's see what it's going to be.
All right, guys, let us know in the chat, too, who you would be going for if this was your category. RBIs. You want to pick IKF here, Nick? Let me actually take a look here and pull up the Blue Jays' recent 15 days. I kind of like looking at that for a sample size. Obviously, you got IKF popping off. David Schneider, Bo Bichette. I mean, I'll let you pick. I'll let you go first on this one here.
Vladdy.
There you go. That's the one. That's the one.
I mean, again, dude, like, if he's going to have a 950 OPS and bat third every day, like, that just feels right to me. Like, I mean, Dave Schneider leads off. He's cold. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, as much as I love him, he's not going to have 9 RBIs every week. So I think that's a clear smash, honestly.
Okay, you go Vladdy. I'm going to go once this thing comes here. Who do I want to go with this week? Obviously, IKF's hot, but like, how many opportunities is he really going to get? You know what I mean? That's the thing. He bats so low in the order. You're going to have Justin Turner. You're going to have, a Springer there. Do I think Bo Bichette's going to actually pop off at all? What's Bo been doing? Kind of slumping again, honestly.
Again, he's not... Dude, Bo Bichette is still not playing baseball.
Do I really want to trust in George Springer here? Maybe I should have went first here, honestly.
You should. I'm very shocked that you...
Because here's the thing, RBI is volatile, right? Like, week to week, it like really... It's like, who knows?
Right.
Who knows what it's going to be? RBIs, you got Dalton Varsho, David Schneider. I might actually have to hop back on the David Schneider train if I am going to do it. Oh my God, I don't trust anybody. What do you guys think? What are you guys thinking?
Got a Jansen in there. Someone saying a couple people saying IKF. Someone saying Horwitz. I don't think anyone knows, man.
Honestly, fuck it. Let's go IKF. Let's just shoot it. I mean, Vladdy had 4 last week, which was shocking because he even hit 2 homers.
Yeah.
Because guess who's in front of him?
Yeah,
it was the guys who were cold as hell.
Who are cold as all holy hell. Yeah, I mean,
let's fucking do it, guys.
See what happens, man. Like, rock with IKF. He will get the playing time now that he is. Now that he's doing what he's doing, he's definitely gonna get. I mean, that's the J of the week right there. So
literally,
you never know.
Go, fuck it,
all right,
guys.
Everybody, spinning the wheel again. Adam's gonna go first the next 2 times in a row. Tom Henderson will take the left spot by the end of Sunday's game. Oh man, I really hope so, dude.
I know that would be nice. All right.
If they were in a playoff spot by the end of Sunday's game, they would have to go like 5-1 or something like that.
Runs scored.
All right.
I'm going to actually dip into yours now. I am going to go with Vladdy because guess who's all hitting behind him? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, so you take Guerrero on runs scored.
Yeah, because the hottest guys in the lineup are now, like even Turner's starting to get hot a little. George kind of hot a little bit. So it's like, I feel like I want to go there.
Yeah. I don't know, man, because Babe Schneider's definitely been really cold, and now like they're doing this weird like Spencer
Horwitz is batting up there.
Like, it's like I don't even know like who.
Varsho could be up there. Danny could be up there.
Yeah, I don't even know like who's gonna be doing it. This is a weird one, everybody. Maybe I'll just like hope for Varsho.
Yeah.
Just say Varsho.
Screw it. It's hard. It's
I
hard
don't
to
feel
predict.
confident about that one. We don't have anyone that's locked in as the number 1 or number 2 hitter right now. Like I
we
don't know who's gonna be up there on the fucking Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah,
so.
it's just Vladdy, and that's it.
Yeah, for real. All right,
All right.
final one right now, everybody. What is the category going to be? Shout out to the 145 people watching. If they haven't already done so, please hit the like button, everybody. It helps out the channel a bunch, and now you finally have
there we go.
OPS. It's running back, but it was on OPS.
All right, well, that's easy. I'm going to rock with Vladdy again. That one's an easy one.
All right, so you're really dipping into the Guerrero stuff. I mean, it makes sense.
It's true. Because even you can't even pick like IKF for this one here.
No, he won't. He won't do that.
Because it's like, even though you 320 batting average, it's 709.
Who is going to do better than Guerrero this week in OPS? Is anyone going to do better than Guerrero this week in OPS, guys? Who's going to do it? Can you pull up the statistics and show me like who did what last week?
Put these guys in here. All right, here we go. Last 15 days, who do we got?
I don't trust George Springer.
Vladdy actually has been slowing down a bit, but it is literally OPS kind of slowing down across the board. Actually,
right. Well, I mean, Varsho's doing pretty good, so I'm gonna have to double down on Dalton Varsho. Dalton Varsho's gonna be in for a week, everybody.
Wow,
that's what it's gonna be, guys. Didn't expect it, but here we are going all in. On Dalton Varsho.
It's a different kind of lineup in the last 15 weeks, honestly. I mean, you literally have a completely different 1-2 hitter.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a weird one.
All right, everybody. Well, there is the wheel, guys. You let us know who you're riding with this week. Honestly, could go either way, folks. I will be live later tonight watching that first game against Milwaukee. So please, marketingyouragenda.com. Stop in with me. Hopefully, we can take that one with La Maquina on the bump, everybody. Videos coming out throughout the week. And I'll take a look at our community page too, guys, because we will have some updates on the upcoming schedule for this next weekend as we will be away.
Yeah, as you guys know, we're going to that cottage. We're going to go celebrate, going to have a little bit of fun. And we'll be back to our regular schedule the following week. So no worries, guys. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
go Jays, go!